Hey guys, it's Dad with Dad's Guide to Adulting. I hope you're doing well and that you're having a great day. In this video, we're going to continue talking about buying your first car, and in particular, we're going to be talking about the things that you need to do to inspect it and test it out before you buy it. Basic point for this video is that you should have your car fully inspected and you should test drive it and be familiar with it and all of the issues that may pop up before you sit down to sign the paperwork. Keep in mind that some people assume or have heard that there is a 3-day rule when you buy a car, that you basically have 3 days after you sign the paperwork to return the car if you don't like it. That's generally not true, and you should not rely on that. You should make sure you fully inspected the car and that you're happy with it before you actually sign the paperwork. So how do you do that? Well, there's two parts to the process. The first is inspections, and the second part is a test drive. We'll talk about each of those briefly in turn. So first, on the inspections, there are two inspections that you need to have done. One is done by you, one is done by a mechanic. So for yourself, look at the car closely, walk around it, check for dents, blemishes, scratches, all those sorts of things. And if you see anything, make note of it. Ask the dealer to repair it. One of the things you don't want to do is tell the dealer that you don't care about a particular problem, because then you lose some leverage to negotiate the price down based on that particular problem. And make sure that you let the dealer know about any problems that you find. Second is you're going to want to take the car to a mechanic for a pre-purchase inspection. Now, the mechanic should be somebody that has no affiliation or association with the dealer that you are buying the car from. Don't let them recommend a mechanic to go do that, because sometimes they have relationships there. The mechanic may want to keep that relationship, so they may give a more favorable review on the car than is really the case. You want a mechanic that is reporting solely to you and that cares about you. You're going to have to pay the mechanic separately for that review, but it is well worth it. Spending $100 or a couple $100 on that review may very well save you thousands of dollars of damages or problems down the road. While most mechanics know how to do this, they don't all do it exactly the same way. You're going to want to ask them to do a more comprehensive review, and you're going to ask them to give you a written report. If you have any issues that you're concerned about, make sure that they look at that. If you weren't sure about the brakes when you were driving it, make sure to ask them to take a look at that. It can also be a good idea when you're talking to the mechanic to ask what's their opinion of the car that you're buying. Do they typically see people come in with problems for this car, or are they good? Those mechanics oftentimes have valuable information, and if you ask them, they may share it with you, and that can be very helpful in deciding whether to buy that particular kind of car. All right, separate from inspecting it, you're also going to want to test drive the car. And when we do the test drive, oftentimes people are impatient with this. They do it way too quickly. I've sometimes done it way too quickly myself. You want to take some time, and ideally you want to sit down with a checklist in the car to go over things. That is true also because you may forget in the moment to check something. Here's a short list of things you're going to want to check on. The acceleration. Does it pick up quickly? Does it respond well when you press the accelerator down? Amenities. Does it have all the little things that you want, like cup holders or the positioning of the armrests or the placement of the mirrors, all those sorts of things. Things that may only bother you a little bit when you first buy the car or doing the test drive may become big problems later. For example, one of the things I think is important is your elbow comfortably set somewhere when you drive. If you're on your long distance drive and you've got your steering wheel in your hand, do you have a place to rest your hand and your elbow and your arm that's comfortable? Make sure that you buy a car where it's comfortable for you. Braking, make sure you test it. One of the things you're going to want to do when you're on a test drive is tell the person next to you, I'm going to test the brakes. Warn them first. Make sure there's nobody around behind you or that you could hit if you skid. And then test the brakes by pressing on them really hard and make sure that the car stops well. Cleanliness, is it in good shape on the interior? If you smell mildew or mold, do not buy that car. Odds are that it has had some sort of flooding damage in the past, and you do not want that. The engine, does it turn on easily or is there a sputter? Fluids, do things like the washer fluid work well on the front windshield? Heating and the air conditioning, make sure you test both, make sure that they're working well. Check the lights, including the bright lights, all the flashers, right and left, the emergency lights, check them all out. Look around and make sure they're working. Think about the noise level. Is it a sufficiently quiet ride? Are you comfortable with it, or is it too noisy? Are there any strange sounds that are causing you any concerns? Do the power locks and the power seats all work the way they're supposed to? Are all the seat belts in good shape? The shocks. While you're test driving the car, don't drive it over major potholes, but you do want to try it and drive it over some bumps, and maybe the bumps in the road that are designed to slow you down. How do the shocks work? Is it a comfortable ride, or are you getting bounced all over the place? The sound system. How's the quality? Especially for young adults, that's a big deal. Is it easy to use? Is it a hands-free system you can use well with your Bluetooth? Do you like the quality of the sound? If you do not like the quality of the sound after you bought the car, that can be a major problem for your comfort level. Steering. How responsive is the steering? Does it respond slowly or quickly? Is it something that you're comfortable with? Is that different cars have steering that function differently? Is it in a range that you like? Also, drive in a straight line and then take your hands off the wheel, not far from the wheel, but take your hands off the wheel and see if the car drifts right or left. If so, it may need an alignment check, and you need to ask the mechanic about that. Is it something that can be fixed by just aligning the tires, or is it a problem with the axle more generally that means you don't want to buy the car? Does the sunroof work okay? Are the tires all in good shape? Visibility. Are you able to see clearly behind you and on the sides? Are you able to look out the windows to see your blind spot on your right-hand side in particular when you're driving? And then wipers. Are they working well? So that's our summary on what you should do before you buy the car to inspect it and test drive it. If you have any questions, always feel free to put them in the feedback section of our website. We'll see you next time. Until then, remember, you got this.